You walk out to get the mail, and there it is again, a Joro spider web, strung between the porch post and the light fixture, thick as fishing line and glowing gold in the afternoon sun. Grabbing a stick and knocking it down is the instinct, getting it off the doorway before anyone walks through it face first, and that reaction feels obvious. It's also wrong, because somewhere in the next few minutes, you're gonna watch a full-grown bird land directly on one of these webs, steal a meal from the middle of it, and fly off, while the spider that built the thing doesn't move. Not a leg, not a fang, nothing. Stick around, because that one frozen moment explains almost everything else in this video. Here's what should bother you. That Joro spider web on your porch didn't crawl there, and nobody dragged it across the yard from a neighbor's overgrown hedge. It arrived out of thin air, and by the time you noticed it, the spider inside, Trichonephila clavata, to give it its full name, had already rearranged how your backyard works. What gets eaten, what gets ignored, who gets to hunt where. You've been reading this wrong for years, and the size of the web turns out to be the least interesting part of the story. This is an invasive species from East Asia, first detected in Georgia around 2014, and it has been rewriting the rules of the American backyard ever since. Start with how it got there in the first place. Spiderlings this size don't walk anywhere, and in spring, one barely 10 millimeters long climbs to the highest point it can find, a fence post, a porch rail, the tip of a shrub, and waits. What it's actually doing is reading the air, wind speed, heat rising off the pavement, the exact moment a thermal current turns steady instead of choppy. Once those conditions line up, the spiderling lifts its abdomen skyward and releases threads so fine they catch the rising air like a sail and drag winds against gravity. No wings, no legs kicking, just pulled straight up into a current it chose on purpose. That single mechanism, ballooning, is how a population jumps across a range that now spans over 120,000 square kilometers across Georgia, the Carolinas, and Tennessee, skipping roads, fences, and every predator standing on the ground. The web that showed up overnight was months in the making, riding winds you never noticed on a Tuesday you don't remember. Now here's the part you'll want to test yourself, because it sounds made up. You probably think a spider freezing when you get close is just a pause before it runs. It isn't. Slam the sliding door, run the mower, let the dog bark under the porch, and for most spiders, that's a predator alarm, so they bolt. This one shuts down instead. A puff of air near its body and it locks into place, motionless, for over 60 minutes at a stretch. Researchers call this a freeze response, or Thanatosis, and it makes the Joro possibly the shyest spider ever documented. Not fleeing, not attacking, just waiting you out while burning almost no energy. That patience is exactly why it can hold the loudest, most disturbed spot in your yard, right over the porch light, right where the insects gather, without ever giving up the position. Unlike its cousin, the golden silk orb weaver, Trichonephila clavipis, the Joro can also survive freezing temperatures, which is a big part of why its range keeps expanding north. And the web itself isn't the neat circle you're picturing in your head. Around the main golden orb sits a chaotic tangle of extra threads stretching across beams and railings, and researchers call this a three-dimensional barrier web structure, built to catch fast insects before they can bounce free. That mess isn't sloppy engineering. It's the reason the whole structure can hold weight. You wouldn't expect silk to survive. Before we get to that weight and to the bird, quick favor. If your porch has hosted one of these this summer, drop the state below in the comments, whether you're in Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, or one of the newer frontier states like Maryland or West Virginia. We're mapping how far this invasive species has actually spread, and your yard might be a data point nobody else has sent in yet. So, the bird. Researchers watched a northern cardinal, Cardinalis, fly straight onto an active web, plant its feet on the silk without breaking through, pull a trapped insect out of the mess, and take off again. That web can hold something close to 70 grams before it fails. A live, perched songbird, easily. And the spider at the center let it happen, because the bird wasn't after her. It was after the leftovers caught in the barrier threads. She isn't defending territory against theft. she's running a small subsidy. Dewdrop spiders, Argyrodes, live in that same outer tangle year-round, eating what she's already caught and never once getting evicted for it. That relationship has a name, kleptoparasitism, where one creature steals food from another without being chased off. The web you keep trying to clear off your porch is doing the opposite of what you assumed. It isn't hoarding, it's feeding a small, layered economy that includes a cardinal, a brown, marmorated stink bug she just pulled out of the air, and a dewdrop spider a fraction of her size. Step back far enough, and none of this is new behavior. It's an old blueprint running in a new zip code. Silk-spinning predators have been dropping threads into moving air and letting the wind do their traveling for tens of millions of years, long before porches, fences, or gasoline mowers existed to survive. The mechanism didn't evolve for your backyard. Your backyard just happens to be the latest place it works. And what makes the Joro spider unusual among invasive species is exactly that synanthropic quality, its ability to thrive alongside human activity rather than despite it. So the next time you find one of these strung across your doorway, the question isn't how to get rid of it. It's what it's already caught that you didn't have to. A web that size isn't guarding the porch from you. It's guarding the airspace above it from everything that would otherwise be landing on your food, your plants, your skin. Tell me in the comments, have you ever actually watched something else? A cardinal, a dewdrop spider, or a moth too big to escape, using one of these Joro spider webs? And did you knock it down anyway?